Hey all, welcome back again and time for some more critical thinking. In the last video, we learned about good arguments and bad ones, and that good arguments are logically valid and have true premises. Today's topic is the use of sources and how to fully understand the arguments that are being given. And in almost all of the sources you will use to understand points of view, arguments aren't presented neatly visualized in an argumentation tree like in MindMup with premises and conclusions all clearly stated. No. Usually we're called to think about what the actual argument is before we can even consider if it is sound or unsound. But first, what kind of sources do we have? Here are just some examples, but I'm sure that there are way more possible examples of sources. All different kinds of articles, science reports, but also videos of people talking, debating can prove invaluable in your quest for finding arguments. Comment sections that are open to the general public are usually rife with bad arguments, so definitely worth checking out, if only just to get a good laugh. And because memes are fun and part of popular culture and have the power to influence the way a lot of people think, we will focus on two memes today. But the steps taken here can be used in every conceivable source. And as a bit of a disclaimer, the fact that I use these memes does not imply that I agree nor disagree personally with the arguments presented. It's just that American politics is a lot of fun to watch and analyze and a proper goldmine for memes. To start our analysis, what do you think is going on here? Is this meme meant to encourage or to discourage people to vote for Donald Trump? It's about white supremacy, and from my background knowledge, I know that this is a common criticism of Donald Trump. So I'll guess this is meant as an anti-Trump meme. The message to all who see this meme: you should not vote for Donald Trump. So here we have our conclusion. All right. Secondly, are there any explicit premises? In this case, there is. The sentence, "if you cannot condemn white supremacy, then you support it," is a statement that uses if, then. The if-then sentence is a very common sentence structure for premises. It is very easy to draw logical conclusions if this statement is connected with a sibling claim. Well, thirdly, what other information do we have? Well, obviously, it's a picture of Donald Trump. If you don't know his name already, it says Trump on the sign right in front of him. To summarize our observations so far, we know the conclusion from the picture and the statement written on it: you should not vote for Donald Trump. And we have an explicit premise, the if-then sentence. But arguments always have more than one premise, so some of the actual reasoning must be hidden. These hidden parts of the arguments are called implicit claims or silent assumptions. We cannot leave them out of our analysis because they are logically necessary to draw the conclusion. We might disagree with them. How do we get from the one explicit premise to the conclusion? Let's figure it out in MindMup. Here in MindMup, we have our conclusion for this argument. And we already had one premise, so I'm going to add this premise too. And at first, the conclusion and the premise have no logical connection, and we can make unconnected claims in MindMup to later figure out how they are used in the reasoning we're trying to understand. So let's add an unconnected claim. Here we have our premise. Based on the premise, what the meme maker is probably saying is that Donald Trump somehow cannot condemn white supremacy. So we will add that to our premises. There we have it. And however, this premise is different from the other premise, since this is implicit. And we can toggle claims from explicit to implicit. So we always know that this is not literally what the author is saying. And it changes the box around the claim from fully enclosed to a dashed line. These open boxes represent implicit claims and the closed ones explicit claims. As you can see, premise 1.2 is in a closed box and premise 1.3 is in a box with a dashed line. So from this explicit and implicit claim, we can draw a conclusion. Donald Trump supports white supremacy. If I write down this as an unconnected claim first, I can later add the reasons by dragging the boxes around. So here is the conclusion, and I will drag the boxes around like this. And add this. And the conclusion is not explicitly stated in this meme, so I'm also going to toggle an implicit claim. We have our first conclusion, but we're still not at the actual conclusion. It will serve as a new premise in another argument. And a proposition that is both a conclusion and a premise is what we call a subconclusion. Together with this subconclusion, we need another premise. In order to get to our final conclusion, we need to add the premise, you should not vote for a person who supports white supremacy. Pretty self-evident, unless you want to risk voting Ku Klux Klan members into office, and we do not want that, right? So here we have it, 3 implicit premises and 1 explicit premise to draw a conclusion that is in itself also implicitly present in this meme. Pretty complex reasoning for a simple meme. And this might seem like a lot of work, but it's absolutely crucial that you understand all of the hidden premises. Especially in politics, these are the ones that are most likely to be the controversial claims. All right, just to be fair, let's do one about Biden too. The conclusion for this anti-Biden meme is you should not vote for Joe Biden. There are no explicit premises here, just a fake quote that is supposed to be representative of Biden himself. And what we see, the former vice president of the USA is smelling a woman's hair in a creepy way, rubbing her shoulders. And if you do some research, you'll find out that this is not Jill Biden, his wife. So we do not have any explicit premises here, but we can find out what the author is trying to say. Let's go back to MindMup. So how do we get from a picture of Joe Biden smelling a lady's hair to the conclusion that you should not vote for Joe Biden? Well, if you do a little bit of reasoning, it would go something like this. If you smell someone's hair, you're a creep. And Joe Biden smells the hair of this lady. Therefore, Joe Biden is a creep. You should not vote for creeps. Therefore, you should not vote for Joe Biden, or as Donald Trump calls him, creepy Joe Biden. And the argument summarized looks something like this. They're all implicit claims. None of this is stated explicitly in the meme, but this is probably in the ballpark of what the author is trying to say. All right. Well, that's it for now. We've learned about different types of sources, all of which can be used to make a point. We can find arguments in them, and some of the propositions are hidden. MindMup helps us to bring to light on which premises the reasoning process depends to make actual logical sense. From there, we can see if there are any premises we disagree with in order to be able to rationally reject the conclusion. That will be the focus for the next video. Bye-bye.